So today we're going to look at the HOA. So if you're like me and you made the mistake of buying a house that has an HOA, now the HOA in and of themselves isn't necessarily fraudulent. Like a lot of times they'll have a pool and do landscaping and give you like roof insurance and all kinds of stuff. But my particular house only has the perimeter landscape that they do. But for whatever reason, they think that they can just dictate how you can enjoy your own private property, which they can't because the HOA doesn't actually effectively have a contract with you. So you can't have a contract with a fictional entity. And I'm just gonna go over what I did. My HOA was just sending us like $1,000 like multi-$1,000 fines for plants on our yard that we had before we even bought the house, like years before we bought the house, and years after, and then arbitrarily they just decided they were going to send us some sort of fine statements in the thousands of dollars, which was kind of insane. Anyways, I'll tell you what I did to try to mitigate the situation. So at first, I just sent them a letter in the mail. We tried calling them a bunch of times, and they said that they waived the fees, and they effectively never did. So long story short, I sent them an email, and then, I looked up to see who the president and the treasury and all this stuff. So I put those names. I don't even know if those names are accurate. Again, this is a nonprofit organization, allegedly, and like I've never done business with them really. So anyways, notice to principals, notice to agents, and all successor and assigns. Notice to agents is notice to principals and all successor and assigns. Silence is acquiescence, agreement, dishonor. So you could just write notice to principals is notice to agents, and notice to agents is notice to principals. You don't have to do all this fancy stuff. I did just for funsies, I guess. The purpose of this message is to get this issue resolved as soon as possible. We'd like all bills, fines, and fees unrelated to our service agreement that we have. Of course, someone's calling me right now. Okay, back to it. We called your office previously to this letter. This is just this letter isn't like the official letter. This is just sort of like to, figure out what's going on, get this issue resolved, and sort of put them on notice that like we mean business. So I emailed them. We got an auto reply a couple times saying, no, we're out of the office. We'll get back to you in 48 hours, blah, blah, blah. But they never did. So we called your office previously to this letter requesting a copy of our contract. The woman that answered the phone was unable to locate any contract because they don't have one, and it seemed unsure that there was one at all. According to our records, we have no wet ink signature contract signed between us and the current or former, people that work at this organization, or any other agent and company that is sending us harassing letters in the mail alleging that we owe money. As far as we know, the HOA is a service that includes the perimeter landscape and retaining wall maintained, and reminds the private homeowners, that's the trick there, within the community keep their yards clean. That's basically all they do. The HOA cannot break the law while doing any of the aforementioned services. Here are the laws that are being broken by your company: extortion, 18 U.S.C. 1951, mail fraud, 18 U.S. Code 1346. Now, I didn't put the description in it because I, didn't really want to go that deep. This is just the initial sort of contact after failed attempts of trying to call people in the office. And then mail fraud, fictitious names, 18 U.S. Code 1342. That's just to name a couple. And then I said, failure to respond within 10 days and resolve this issue by removing all fines and fees will result in a default judgment. Yeah, you can do that. Moving forward, our HOA and people working there will be in dishonor. At that point, we'll have no choice to file a complaint with the Federal Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Then proceed with filing a lawsuit in the state and federal district court. We hope this was all a mistake and clerical error on your part and your company, and acts in honor and in accordance with the law and the Constitution. from this day forth, have a nice day, then, you know, you sign it, whatever. You could get it notarized if you want, but again, this is just an email that I sent to them because we couldn't get a hold of anybody. So, and then after this, we tried calling and, you know, nothing. We didn't hear a peep. They never called us. They never, like, officially emailed us back point by point or anything like that. We actually emailed them like 3 more times, like, please call us. We gave us a phone number for them to call. Please call us. Please call us. You know, I emailed like 3rd attempt, 2nd attempt. Nothing. They never called us. But they did, however, call their attorneys, which was their second mistake. Oh, it's going to be so good. Okay, get ready. I'm going to probably swear during this, so just to warn you, if you don't like curse words, I apologize. So we ended up faxing them all the emails that we sent, like, hey, we're trying to get in contact with you. You're already past your 10 days, and, you know, our next step is to take the steps that we told you we were going to take. Then we got a nice little letter that same afternoon after telling them, like, hey, you know, pay attention to us. This is pending, like, legal action. We're not gonna just let you guys administer our property without rights. You know, these mailings you're sending us is literally mail fraud. Okay, which I'll tell you how to do mail fraud. When I first started getting to the freedom movement and all these freedom groups, people always like talk about mail fraud, but no one actually told you how to actually file a mail fraud report, which you do online. It's like the easiest thing. Anyways, I thank Alphonse Fagiolo for teaching me how to do it. It's really simple. You can just go on his YouTube channel. It teaches you how to do that. But second letter that I sent to the HOAs after they got their thugs, basically, whenever they get an attorney, they're basically getting like bullies, thugs, you know, petty. Alphonse calls them petty fogger shysters. And you can look up the definition of that. That's a fun one. They're not semi, they're breaking the law. No lawyer should be contacting you unless you have a contract with them. I did some digging, and if you go to Alphonse Fagiolo's Telegram group, you can get all this stuff I'm about to show you. So I found this letter that you should be sending to your HOA, especially if they're harassing you on any capacity or starting to charge you, like, let's say they charge you like $100 for having a plant that they don't like. I mean, or $1,000 or $3,000 or some outrageous amount. Any amount that they're like, I'm going off. Okay, so let's just take a look at this from the desk of, okay, so this is just an example. Of course, I changed mine. So you would put your name here. You know, if you have a P.O. box, you put your P.O. box here. I actually recommend getting a P.O. box because if you're someone like me, you want to have some privacy and you don't want to have threatening letters being sent directly to you at your private home. And you have the right to enjoy your privacy in your private home and to feel secure in it. And that's right there in the Constitution. So IT, you know, Firefly, here and after referred to as respondent, responding only to protect respondent's right and interest in reference to the purported account number, you know, whatever your account number is that they're alleging is yours. Respondent is only responding as one of the bona fide unit purchasers for value with or without notice. Respondent has dwelled and occupied such private property, commonly known as whatever your address is, you put it here, for over however long you've lived there, pursuant to respondent's right to acquire, possess, own, protect, and enjoy property to the exclusion of all others in accordance with the whatever state you live in, so the Florida State Constitution and the clearly established laws of the state of Florida. You can also include the federal Constitution there too. I don't see why not. I did it, so because the supremacy clause, the federal Constitution trumps all state constitutions. All right, so homes of Dover Shore, so it would be homes of wherever you live, whatever the HOA company is called, and then care of the management group, their address, their fax number. To whom it may concern, your correspondence on the 3rd day of April was so vague and ambiguous that respondent cannot reasonably frame a detailed responsive answer. Now, you learn all this stuff when you take the law course, the winning court course. which is on my website, conversationpiece.life. Just click on when in court on the menu, and you'll be well on your way. You have to take that. You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you like. But if you want to fight back against tyranny, and it's coming at you every time you leave your house, you're in a kind of state of like, oh, am I going to get pulled over today? Like, this is not how we're supposed to live. We're not supposed to be living in fear of getting a ticket or like shot at the side of the road because, you know, the cop is somehow afraid of you and you reached for your wallet and they thought it was a gun. Anyways, I'm totally getting off track here. Okay, so, all right. So in the fairness and interest of respondent and all the unit owners of homes of wherever you live, demand is here made for a more definite statement and clarification of the issues be provided to respondent by the board of directors of whatever your HOA is forthwith to better aid respondent in understanding of any and all alleged violations, and you put the S in there. So, 1. Respondent demands that the board of directors of homes of wherever you live provide to respondent their delegated authority, regulatory authority, and statutory authority for addressing respondent in this matter. Number 2. Respondent demands that the board of directors of homes of the Dover Shores provide the respondent the exact legal and lawfully promulgated, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, so look this word up, promulgated provisions of the declaration, the association bylaws, or rules of the association, including but not limited to numeric and or alphanumeric sections and subsections of such declaration and or bylaws that respondent has purportedly violated. You shall limit your communication to writing at the above address only. Respondent will only accept your written communications. No, when I did this, I added, do not have a bar member write us back, because bar members are interlopers and have no personal knowledge in this matter. And to do so, you know, XYZ. You can even say to do so may result them in getting a bar grievance. That'll really pump the brakes on that. But I only sent this in after a bar member already reached out to me, because I was like, oh, is this how we're gonna play ball? Okay. You're messing with the wrong hoe right now, okay? You don't know who you're messing with. Respondent is demanding a validation that is competent evidence and strict proof that the board of directors of wherever you live has a legal and lawful authority to be corresponding with respondent and are truly acting within the scope of their fiduciary relationship to unit owners concerning this matter. So I actually was a realtor for a short period of time, and I studied in Nevada and California. And so you learn about contract law, but they kind of don't really lay out contract law to a point where it's your understanding is super clear, which is kind of strange that they do that. And now that I know, it's so I feel like they train people improperly to keep people slightly confused. But being a fiduciary means that you're responsible to do the right thing, like lawfully and legally do the right thing by the people that you're working for. So that's just you can look up the word. You should also be aware that sending unsubstantiated demands for payment of monetary value through the USPS might constitute mail fraud under Title 18. And then so I basically just reminded them. And then under Florida statute, and then you can go look up whatever your state statute is for extortion. They'll have one. And it shouldn't be too hard to find. I found mine just, simple search engine. You may wish to consult a competent legal advisor for your next communication with respondent. Now, because I sent this après them having a bar member reach out to me, I highlighted this part. So I made this bold, competent, and then, the rest of it, you sign it. So whenever you're sending, make sure, now you can get this package, you want to make sure that you send in your affidavit of status. This is what it looks like, an affidavit of status. You got to change it, obviously, put your name in, and if you're a woman, you don't say that you're a man. I mean, I guess you could nowadays, but You throw that in there. And you don't even have to be religious. Pursuant to 28 USC 1746. So you want to get this notarized. So you sign this in front of a notary, and I've done that already. You sign it in front of a notary. I actually signed it in triplicates, and then I made copies of each, and I scanned them. And then what I did is I got a humble fax. And then what the humble fax does is it will tell you that they received it. Now, I already know that they received my stuff because as soon as I sent them the fax, like, hey, legal action, they ignored all my previous email and all my previous emails, and they contacted a lawyer that afternoon, which, you know, that was kind of dumb on their part. So I also contact the lawyer back, and I let them know that they're in huge trouble. So let's just get on to the mail fraud. I sent this letter to them from the desk of, and then I also, on my fax heading, I said, we're men and women of our word, and we filed the Consumer Bureau Financial, and we also filed the mail fraud report because you guys, you know, were in default. It was already like day 11, day 12. So they were already in default. We try to get in touch with them and just deal with it man to man, woman to woman, you know, but they chose to ignore us, which, you know, I don't know why they're working there. Who's paying them if they're not going to do their jobs? So anyways, so here's my complaint, and I sent them a copy. I took a screen grab. I, you know, X this out, and I sent them like, hey, we sent the complaint. Debt collection attempts to collect debt not owed. I don't owe you any money. Like, I pay my whatever HOA fee for you guys to do landscaping every month, and I have records of it. So try me. Okay, I'm gonna get upset. Okay, so a lot of people are like, that's mail fraud, but then you don't know what to do about it. You literally just go to United States Postal Service. Here it is. Click on the menu. Report. Yeah. So they're not, like, if you write return to sender, mail fraud, or whatever, and write stuff on the actual letter, they're not going to do anything with that. They're probably just going to throw it in the trash. So I was advised to do that when I first got it, which was like the wrong thing to do. But I will tell you one thing. The easiest thing to do is to do a bar grievance, which maybe next video I'll teach you how to do a bar grievance. Okay, so mail fraud. They have all kinds of mail theft, suspicious mail. So you click on the mail fraud. So when you have a mail fraud complaint, you would fill this out electronically, and what you can do is fill this out electronically, all it out, and tell them, hey, I'm also sending you this via mail, and then in your mail you're going to have your affidavit of status, pictures of the mailings that were sent to your home, and then tell them all the ways that this is a crime, like they're trying to extort money from you, whatever, and you include all that in the electronic, and then you actually send them a physical copy of your complaint as well, using the PDF. Okay, so what you do is you get this PS8165 and you fill it out. You put it in an envelope and you send this to the mail fraud place, which is right here. You send it to here, the Criminal Investigation Service Center, attention mail fraud. This is in Chicago. Sign and date it, and then you can also expand on why it's mail fraud. How did you expect? I expected nothing. I don't have a contract with them. And you do that, the same thing for the returnee. Like, what did you expect from the attorney? I expected nothing from the attorney. Why? I don't have a contract with the attorney. And then all this stuff when it comes to your house is your estate. So you put your estate, and then you put the description on the bottom of what happened. And there's more instructions if you go to Alphonse Fagiolo's YouTube. Go to How to Deal with Debt Collectors, and he'll give you more of an explanation on how that all works. So I highly recommend joining up his Telegram and watching his videos as well. So, okay, this is where we go. So you say the board of directors. I mean, this is what I did. I mean, you can change it. They devised a scheme to obtain money by my property by. Your money is your property, your bank account is your property, your body is your property. All that stuff is your property. Okay, 1, board of directors, people working for whoever's trying to threaten you through the mail to get money from you that you don't have a contract with. Just you need to have, if you have a contract with these people, like a wet ink signature between you and the CEO, then you have a contract. But in this case, we do not have a contract. And we asked for it, and they did not provide a contract, which I'll go on about. So they devised a scheme to defraud us, obtain our money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses by creating documents named, whatever the document title is that they're sending you. It most certainly won't say invoice, and I think that's what it's supposed to say. So fine account statement. I don't know what that means. They were deposited in the United States Postal Service against our property, so you put in your address, and directed to be delivered to us, meaning it has your name on it, your government name. Usually it's in all caps, but that's sort of besides the point. We could only get the names of the people called XYZ working for the aforementioned corporations. And they may not even work there anymore. Like, these people keep changing over. So then you you just cut and paste 18 U.S. Code 1341 frauds and swindles. And then whoever having devised or intended to devise a scheme to defraud for obtaining money, property by false or fraudulent premises, representations, or promises, blah, 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 blah. You can read the whole thing. So that is such person shall be fined not more than $1 million or imprisoned not more than 30 years or both. Oof. That's not a joke. Okay. The people working for the HOA unlawful created a fine statement, then directed it to be mailed to us through the United States Postal Service while purporting their actions of a corporate fiction doing business as using the fictitious name. So whatever the corporation name is. That's not a Mr. or Mrs. Emerald Ridge. Limited Liability Corporation is a fictitious name, not a proper name, nor is the principal party verifying their authorization to use or assume the fictitious name. In specific United States Postal Service mailing, they directed to us fictitious name or address, 18 U.S. Code 1342. And you can read that whole thing. And then you can do it again, mailing, threatening communications. So whoever with the intent to extort any person of any money or anything of value so deposits causes to deliver it as aforesaid any communication containing any threat to kidnap or threat to injure a person, which is take money from me, that's an injury, imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. And then C and D, pursuant to, and then you sign it. Okay. And every time you send stuff, you send in your affidavit of status, letting them know that you do not live in you do not live in a municipal corporation. Wherever you live generally has a municipal corporation attached to it, so you want to let them know that the municipal corporation or private corporations doing business as you put in your HOA, and then you can say the city, like the city of Las Vegas, whatever. All these things. Possess no interest in my private property, possess no authority to make claims against my private property, and possess no authority, rights whatsoever over myself or my private property. And then you tell them you're the sole owner. And then this one's the clutch one here, number 10. I am not a citizen, resident, subject, taxpayer, all of the municipal corporations and private corporations doing business as, and then you fill in your blank wherever your geographic area that you live in. Borough, township, city of, state of, and you can put all that stuff there, or the school board district or any other municipal corporation. nor does my physical location or physical location of my private property create duties and obligations upon me of the foregoing municipal corporations, which are fictions of law that cannot make claims against a man and his property. Super important. So anytime you're talking to these people, you give them your affidavit, you have it notarized, and you can just fax that over to them or send it certified mail. So you probably want to know what ended up happening. So I ended up sending a cease and desist. Now it's been well over 10 days since I sent the second letter. Once you send in, if you electronically send in your mail fraud report, it'll give you a next screen that'll say, you did your mail fraud. Mail fraud has been done. Let me see if I have it. So you'll get this little guy right here. So once you finish your electronic mail fraud, you'll get this. So what I did is I took a screen grab, and when I sent them the second letter, basically telling them to cease and desist and to remove all fines and stop harassing us through the mail. Effectively, I also sent them this: hey, we're men and women of our word, and we said we were going to do this, and we weren't like thinking about doing it, and just like, you threaten us and you threaten our property. Now we're going to tell you that stop doing that, and we warned you to stop messing with us. You didn't. So here's the consequences. And then I shut them down. I emailed and I faxed twice. I faxed the petty fogger shysters, the lawyer's office, and I'll just show you what I did with that. I blended a couple things that I got from the Alphonse's telegram. So I took the Rufus stuff, and then I put my stuff in, and then I took another affidavit of fact, basically a cease and desist mail fraud. If you look under cease and desist mail fraud, you'll find the same stuff. And I blended them both. So I basically said that we're protecting our rights, and same idea as the Rufus T-Fly. And then I gave them a notice, and this is what I said: as cease and desist, notice of mail fraud, harassment, duress, misconduct of a bar member in violation of my substantial right to due process. His legal assistant emailed us, and then he had an attachment with a letter. He basically threatened us through the mail, saying that if we don't pay this exorbitant amount of money, they're going to do threatening legal action. Like what? And they're probably going to do it unlawfully. They have to do it unlawfully. So this is what I said back to them, which we haven't heard a peep. And it's been well over a week. We haven't heard a peep. After I sent them the fax, they haven't talked to us at all. Neither one of them actually has. Okay, so respondent has personal knowledge in all matters stated herein. So a respondent is someone that, in terms of the law, respondent is also a defendant. So basically, I'm defending myself. So a defendant calls themselves a respondent, which you'll learn in the winning court course. I hope I'm right. Your mailings. So this guy, he sent us a physical mail to our home, our private home, in a different state, because I actually I no longer live in Las Vegas. I live in California, and this guy took our personal information and threatened us through the mail at our personal home, which is, a lot of crimes, which you'll see. So I told them your mailing will be reported to the United States Postal Service, and I did that. And then, all of your associates have no jurisdiction, no legal standing, no interest, and no personal knowledge in any manner concerning our property. You don't have any contracts with us either. We have no obligation, which is a contract with these people. There's no performance. Some of it's redundant. There's no performance employment contract with you to inspect our property and determine anything about it. And to do so, you'd need our explicit written consent. You're trespassing and administering our property without right. You are perpetrating forgery, counterfeiting, fraud, constructive fraud, and criminal gross negligence against respondent's property. if you want, please, look up these definitions. That you engaged in mail fraud. So mail fraud is also emails too. When you go to the Postal Service, they just say, like, when you look at your mail fraud report, it'll say fax, it'll say email, it'll say all that stuff. It's not just physical mail that can be construed as mail fraud. So I actually kind of said that in the beginning. I let them know this is the key word. That's why I made this bold. That this guy, this is the lawyer here, Matthew, is in non-compliance with the Constitution and laws that bind you, because he took an oath. I didn't take an oath to the Constitution. You did when you became a bar member. For depriving me of my God-given constitutionally secured rights by acting under color of law. So color of law is not law. It's just like what appears to be law. So under color of law, for the harm and damages that your role and action in this matter have caused to respondents and respondents' property. Now, because I'm taking the course and I'm studying and I'm learning stuff, I know that when he sent that physical letter to our private home or our private property, I was like, oh, dude. My husband was freaked out, but I was like, what an idiot! He doesn't know who we mess with. So the people working, and I let them know, like, hey, I gave you permission to contact us during this time and only during this time, and they chose not to. So now they're in default, and no alleged debts, fines, fees, or assessments are owed. So they don't have, once they decided not to, they don't have permission to just contact us. They're in default. And then I said, if you continue to infringe upon our unalienable rights, we will be forced to file several drawn-out bar grievances. So when you do a bar grievance, if you ever want to do a bar grievance, you want to do one crime at a time, 31 days apart. Because if you do, let's say you do all 5 crimes, then what could happen is that all 5 crimes could get thrown out and they just, whatever. It's just the bar member, their little non-secret society protecting each other. So I wanted him to know, and everyone at his office to know, because I sent them via fax, that I know where the link is. I know the link. Here it is. You just go to your state bar, wherever it is, look at state bar, and then complaint. File a complaint. File a complaint online. So then you would just file the complaint online. There it is. Easy peasy. And then you can take pictures and everything that they sent to you. You take a picture of it and you give them your whole dissertation. give them the whole complaint if you want. And, or you can keep it simple. Again, I've never actually filed mail fraud. I've filed a mail fraud. I haven't filed a bar grievance yet, so that's what I want you guys to, considering all this stuff, I want you guys to let me know if I should do a bar grievance on this guy. Alright, so I'm going to report 3 or more following crimes to whom it's applicable. So this person, this Tina person is like, the community manager, and she was CC'd on all this stuff, and in the letter she was also CC'd, and the legal assistant is the one that actually sent the original email. And then, a fictitious name is what sent the physical mailings in the USPS. So, Title 18 federal crimes, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law, frauds and swindles, fictitious name or address, false entries and reports of monies or securities. So, he wrote down a number and said that we had to pay it on a piece of paper. But he has no contract, and he has no personal matter or personal jurisdiction or first-hand knowledge. So he's just making shit up. So securities of the states and private entities, fictitious obligations, mailing threatening communications, statements of entries generally. You can look up all these codes you can look up. The Nevada state crimes, harassment, deceptive trade practices, threats, NRS 205, extortionate collection of debt, sale or creation. So basically our original mailings were like, hey, pay this thousands of dollars of fines, and if you don't, we're going to charge you $100 a week. a week. Tell me how that seems legitimate. It's not. Anyways, moving on. False written statements, swindling, credit by false representations, sale or creation of security interest in a personal property. That's it. Multiple transactions involving fraud or deceit in course of enterprise or occupation, penalty, NRS 205. Obtaining and using personal identifying information. Yeah, this guy got our personal information in a not that has nothing to do with the property that they're even speaking of, which they have no business in, and then mailed us in our private home in a completely different state. Okay, so obtaining, yeah, that he did that. Unlawful trespass upon land. And every person who willfully obtains personal identifying information. So that's a California crime. So this particular bar member has a bar card in California and in Nevada. And he sent the email, had a Los Angeles address. Common law crimes, conspiracy, constructive fraud, defamation, duress, fraud, infliction of emotional distress. Hell yeah, it took me a whole week to put this shit together. I don't, like, what? Invasion of privacy, abuse of process, and negligence. Abuse of process. That's an important thing to look into. I let them know that they're receiving incompetent legal advice. Now, again, I don't know this person, but she was CC'd as the one that's working at the HOA company. By following directives of the non-profit organization, neither a municipal code nor a Nevada statute or service agreement, because that's basically what we have. It's like you don't actually have a contract with your cable provider. You have a service agreement. So I am providing you money and you're giving me internet. And that's it. They can't force me to have internet. So I've decided, I don't need your services anymore. Anyways, moving on. This one's important. Respondent's property is not within the city of Las Vegas, which is a municipal corporation. You can look it up. They have a Dun and Bradstreet number. Or Emerald Ridge Limited Landscaping Maintenance Association, which is a domestic nonprofit corporation. They all live on paper. This is why they live in paper, you respond to them in paper. Everything is paper. It's all paper tiger type stuff. Okay. Or First Service Residential Nevada, which is a limited liability corporation. Respondent property is on the free geographic region known as Las Vegas. And then I go into his little respond to this threatening letter, and he sent a 21-page document, which was a contract between this Emerald Ridge and First Service Residential, to which the respondent is not privy to nor a party of. This contract that apparently I am subjected to doesn't have my name on it or anything like that. It was signed in 2002. I wasn't even living anywhere near. I was living in a different country at that time. Anyway, so this pettifogger stated that somehow respondents are automatically in servitude of a 21-page document. No place in the document is the respondent's name, initials, or wet ink signature. To be in servitude of a corporation or to force people into a contract is involuntary servitude. Article 1, Section 17, slavery and involuntary servitude is prohibited, clearly stated in the Constitution of the state of Nevada. And then I told him the cease and desist. Failure to cease and desist will result in a claim of damages against you. And then, I told him, you might lose your bar card if you keep messing with our private property. And that's it so far. Hopefully everything will just go away. And if not, I'm studying the law course, and I'm listening to all the podcasts, and I'm posting articles when I see something that's relevant for you guys to learn as well. So I'm learning and sharing. And I hope that helped you guys. That basically is all the arsenal you really need. and help me fight tyranny so we can all live in peace. I love you guys. I hope that helps. Take care. Just thank you for watching. Comment below. Don't forget, you can, if you want, subscribe, like, or subscribe, or hit the bell. Hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. I don't know if I just started this channel, so I don't know if it's shadow banned yet, but I'm trying not to get to that level. And you know, it's a free country, so you can do whatever you want. It's a free country. I mean, it's only free if you make it free. So we're trying to get free.